So I've not done this before, and this is new for me to go live on YouTube, and I'm trying to make sure that it even works. So let's see if I can even find myself if I'm going live. I don't know if I'm going live or not. Boy, I can't tell. If you guys are, it shows that I am. It shows that I am live, and I'm trying to find where. Where am I live? I'm sorry if anybody's watching this. This probably looks like a shit show. Oh man, I don't even know where the chat screen is at the moment, and it's supposed to be a chat screen here. Thank goodness I didn't try to do this on all the platforms at the same time. Okay, I am live. Yay. Someone's commented, but I don't have my chat screen up. That's why I'm not seeing it. So Brittany, if you're there, yay, you're there. I need to add you as a moderator. And I, like I said, anybody who's watching me, I'm thrilled you're here and that you're watching me. Now, if I can just find the chat screen here. See, what happens is I'm on OBS, and OBS is different. So, and it normally has, let me go back. I'm still, so anybody joining me, I will get this, we will get this, and we will get this successfully, and it will be, we'll figure this out. Hang on, I need to figure out all my docs. There we go, chat screen. Okay. All right. Ah, great. Okay, I can finally see the chat. All right, yay. Okay, so now I'm going to be hopping live on Instagram and TikTok at the same time, and let's see if we can do all of this at the same time. So, and then I will start talking about what the issues are and introduce myself, because those of you who may not know me, may not know what this is about and what I'm about. Maybe you're new to my channel. And so I'm excited that you're here. Let me get on everywhere here real quick, and then we can start taking this live. No, it's not on Facebook. I haven't figured out how to do the combination of both. I know most people who do that use things like StreamYard, and but I'm not on it. So let me hang on. Abuse chat and abuse in relationships. So I'm a psychologist with over 20 years of counseling experience, and I love to talk about everything related to healthy relationships. And once, this is my first time going live on Instagram. So I'm sorry, first time going live on TikTok, and which is why this is so challenging here. Oh, crap. And when you know it, of course, I got hacked. Have you guys been hacked? I got hacked on Instagram. Somebody got a hold of me and asked to sell products to me. So warning, if you hear from somebody who DMs you and wants to sell you clothing or products, and then they're going to give you this special code, they're hacking into your account actually. They will send a code through Instagram, and if you share that, it's a link that actually connects back, and that's what happened. I shared the link, but thank God I didn't accept them. I had the wherewithal to say no, but it went far enough that, in fact, I saw today that something was happening on Instagram that was meaning that they got further than I had wished, and things were a little more problematic. So please do not accept anybody who says, "Oh, I've got stuff to sell you, and if you just give me this, and it'll be fine." And no, that's not how it works. It's a hack, and they're actually going to log in as you on Instagram. So I changed my password, but now I'm having a hard time getting on because the password's changed everywhere. You know how that goes. Like, life is like never simple. Is it ever simple? It just never feels like it gets simple. So I'm almost on Instagram, and then we can start talking about what's going on here. But how are you doing? How's everything going? Like I said, I'm now live on YouTube as well as live on Instagram. Well, no, I'm not on Instagram, but I'm also live on TikTok, and we're live on, so today I'm live on Instagram and, TikTok and YouTube. So let's start launching, because I'm just struggling to get into Instagram, and I'm not going to do that. So I'll ignore it for today. Yeah, what are you guys struggling with? I've been having... Have any of you had repression after abuse? Now, what do I mean by repression? What is repression? So I'm going to describe it as a psychologist, what repression is, and then let's talk about if you've had repression, and then how has it been going to reclaim the memories, or are you reclaiming the memories? Do you want to reclaim the memories? So repression is one of the defense mechanisms that were identified by Anna and Sigmund Freud. So Sigmund came up with the idea of defense mechanisms, and then Anna came on, his daughter, and jumped in, and she identified a whole bunch more. And someone just said, you're on YouTube. Yes, I'm on YouTube, and I'm also on TikTok at the same time right now. So I'm on YouTube and TikTok right now. Okay, so defense mechanisms. The first earliest defense mechanism any of us have are denial, compartmentalization, splitting. Splitting is a big one. Splitting happens right away, right in infancy. So denial and splitting are probably the first two earliest ones. And then you add projection, compartmentalization. And then some of the other ones start to come on, and those like intellectualization. There's also repression, reaction formation. There's a whole bunch. I think there's like 30 of them have been identified. But repression's kind of like not early, but it's earlier. And what it is that it's different than denial. Denial, a great way of thinking of denial is it's like watching a horror movie and putting your hands over it and say, I don't see it, I'm not watching it, and then peeking. That's denial. You consciously know what's happening, but you keep trying to filter it out or pretend that it's not there. Repression's different. Repression is the mind. It's an unconscious process. It's where the mind says to itself, hey, this is too much for this person to experience. So we're just going to block it out altogether. We're going to pretend this never happened. And it literally takes that segment of the memories and just moves it elsewhere so that the conscious mind doesn't have access to it. And you don't even know that it's happening. So, for example, when I hear people say, well, I don't remember a lot of my childhood, my first thought as a clinician is, okay, is it because their childhood was that nondescript? Could it have been that boring and flat? Maybe it was so ordinary. Or is this somebody who's actually repressed memories and they just don't remember the events? I know, for example, I was severely abused, and there are pieces of it that are missing. I just don't know. I don't know, for example, big pieces, like things that you should remember. Who would not remember the first time you were assaulted, right? That's kind of noteworthy. I'm sure most of us don't forget. If you had a car accident or you were in an airplane crash, you don't forget those. You would remember those for the most part. But I don't remember it at all, and I know it's because it's been repressed. I've had repressed memories come back, and that's really wild. When it starts to happen, you start to feel like you're really, really scared to remember the thought, to remember the memory, and then all of a sudden you remember it. And when you remember it, you knew you always knew it. It's like, well, I knew that. What, really? How did I not know that? I've always known that. So it's this strange feeling of knowing, but realizing that you didn't know, but now you know. I actually had one come back. I was sitting with a client in a hospital taking this history, and she was describing this event in her life, and suddenly, boom, the memory came back. I had this big flashback, and I remember thinking, I knew that. How did I not know that? But I had not remembered until the flashback came back. So have you had repression in your life? I see Brittany says yes, she has. Has any of you experienced that? And have you had an experience where it came back? And what was that like for you? So here's the other problem. When you have experienced narcissistic abuse, anybody who's listened to my platform knows that there's cognitive dissonance, where this person you met has created a false persona. So they're both good and they're bad at the same time. They're literally like living with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or Ms. Hyde in some of our cases. And we think we met the Dr. Jekyll personality and that they're really the person that we hoped that they were. And then when we get to know them, we start to see something else. We see hints of some other personality that's very foreign. That's the Mr. or Ms. Hyde personality. But interestingly enough, when the whole relationship is over, then you can have both experiences, both memories come back. You can have the bad memories of all the things that you're hurt or upset about or you feel are unprocessed, but you also can have the good memories come back. And when that happens, it really creates confusion because you end up for one having a surge of all this thought about this good person that you had experience with and missing them, but it also can put you at risk of wanting to reacquaint yourself with them, to reach out and have contact with them. It makes you want to do the connection, then you're at risk at like checking in with them, yes, they like to check in with us, but it increases our likelihood of actually checking in with them. And that's bad because then we're right back into the throes of the relationship. And anyone knows who's in this whole arena of narcissistic abuse knows that unfortunately narcissists see that as you giving kind of like you whitewash all the bad things that ever happened. It's as if you're now approving of the abuse and that you're picking back up, and now they think you know everything, and so they're worse than ever because it's like you just gave them a get out of jail pass free card, which is really, really awful. So I'm watching comments both on YouTube and TikTok, and thank you for those who are on YouTube and saw the beginning of this, because I had never gone live on YouTube before and I'm using OBS, and that's all challenging. But I would love to know, I'd love to know what your experience has been with this and how are you doing around all of this. And right now some comments have come on TikTok, and it's like, someone just said, I have a lot of childhood memories and I'm an avoidant attachment style, and that's been really tough. Somebody else said, is it normal to repress all good memories and only remember the bad to protect ourselves from I'm assuming that you're talking about the abuse. And what is OBS? OBS is I'll answer that question because that's simple. OBS is I'm on a camera. It's an editing platform that you stream through. So right now for YouTube, I have a camera that's filming me. And then in order to capture what's happening, it's going through a program called OBS, and then that's sending it to YouTube. So that's how that's working. So I have to set it up for the camera and then set it up for OBS and then set it up with YouTube and make sure all the parts and pieces are playing nice with each other. So that's why I keep talking about it. Okay, back to this question. It's interesting. I think this is just me talking off the top of my head about narcissistic abuse and repression of good memories versus bad memories. I did that. I didn't repress the bad ones as fast as I repressed the good ones. In fact, I was just listening to, there's a really fascinating interview of R. Kelly, the performer, R. Kelly, with CBS. It's 3 or 4 years old now. It's when he was being called out for all the abusive girlfriends. And he argues, I'm trying to remember the name of the interviewer, Gayle King. I think he was being interviewed by Gayle King. And I just saw it, the covert narcissist is a handle on Instagram. She's only on Instagram. And she took that video, which I'm hesitant to do because CBS owns it and I don't really want to step on their copyright feet, but she took it and she processed the stages of an argument with a narcissist. It's fascinating. It's really well worth your time going to search it out. But I was watching it and suddenly this flood of memories came back for me. It was, and I realized that a lot of the better memories that I had of that relationship, I had tucked away harder, better, stronger than the bad memories. I remember when I found out he was cheating, and I remember the next time I found out. Those like stand out, like highlighted, but it's the good ones that I think that I'm having a harder time with, and they're the ones that lead me to feel really, really confused. So has that been true in your case, that you are struggling with more of the good memories than the bad memories? Yeah. And somebody else said you don't have a lot of emotional connection to your memories. That's really fascinating. Yeah, that is fascinating. Someone just asked me if I'm a psychologist. I am a psychologist, and I primarily advertise myself as a mental health clinician, just because these days I don't counsel anymore. I do offer a clarity call for someone who would like maybe direction or maybe input on something, but I don't take counseling patients these days. So I'm not taking ongoing clients at this moment. Yeah, someone else said, I repress the bad memories and keep ruminating on the good. Yeah, it can. It can create confusion to have both. The good memories, we end up thinking, what went wrong? Why couldn't we? In fact, here's a wild one. And I would love to know if this happened as well with you, is that my ex also wished for the good moments back too. He would say, wasn't it great when that period of time that we had? Don't you wish things were like that? And I'm thinking, yeah, but you're the common denominator. Why, you have the power to make it back. I'm just reacting to what's happening here. And yet he would long for it, but then he wouldn't step up for it, because I think that requires accountability and responsibility and all of the words that narcissists and other toxic people really hate. So yeah, it was sad because I missed him. He seemed to miss them. And yet, I did what I could to get him back, but he couldn't get them back either. In the Sandra Brown webinar, I interviewed her in November. How Could I Have Fallen for a Dangerous Man was the name of that interview. And if you're interested, I have the replays available for sale. But one of the things that she said in that interview was that the good memories are just as dangerous and toxic to us as the bad memories, because then they increase the confusion and put us at risk of wanting to have contact. And they're just as dysregulating as the bad ones. And I thought that was really fascinating, and she right now is working on a protocol to help those who do certified EMDR to do both, to not only heal around the bad memories and to soothe yourself, learn how to soothe yourself around the bad, but to also help bring healing to the good memories. So at that time when I spoke to her in November, she was actively doing some real research to make sure that that type of EMDR was as effective with good memories, not just on bad memories. Yeah, if you're interested in purchasing that video, right now, the best way to find it is to go to resource.kerrymcavoyphd.com. Brittany or Sarah, if you could put that into the chat for TikTok, that would be awesome. And I can put it here in the chat here, which is so nice because I actually have this really big screen, if I can peek around it, that I can type into. So anyone who's interested in hearing Sandra Brown speak on this, I just put the link in the chat right now. I'm right in the process of changing everything over. I have so many new things happening. So I'm going to have a new website here in a few weeks, which will be way organized, way better. I'm hoping to let go of Linktree so that you will just go to my site and have it all kind of so you can find it from the podcast, which I just launched season 2 with a co-host, Tara Blair Ball. Do you guys know who she is? Tara's got a very large platform on both Instagram and TikTok. You can find it at Tara Relationship Coach. And we just launched where we're going to kind of talk all related to different various of narcissistic abuse. What's interesting is Tara is an abuse survivor like myself, but she comes at it from a different focus. She's a little more kind of healthy communications. She's done a lot of work with men and women around dating and connecting and attachment styles. So I'm super excited to have her join me. I've known her a long time. She's also a writer. She's written several books. One just came out. Her newest book just came out, which is actually I have it right over there on my bookshelf, which is really great. I should get it so you can show it to you guys. Her newest book just came out. It's called Reclaim and Recover. Reclaim and Recover. And the subtitle is Heal from Toxic Relationships with a 7-Step Guided Journal. She says she's super proud. She's proud of all her work, but she's super proud of this one. It's really, really good. So Tara Blair Ball is my co-host to Breaking Free from Narcissistic Abuse. And on YouTube, we're going to be putting up all the videos. So you'll get to see us live taping it. And, and we're going to keep it real. Her and I are both, that's what I love about her. You'll notice she's very down to earth, and she's just in a different place of life than I'm at. I'm more, a little more formal, because I've been a psychologist my whole life, and psychologists, we're trained to be careful. We have to think about everything we do, make sure it presents well for the field, make sure we don't contaminate the work. It's all this stuff that happens supposedly when you're a psychologist you have to do. I don't know if you guys knew that, but we even get trained about what to put on social media and how to interact, everywhere. And so it's lovely to have somebody who's just not as caught up with all of that. In fact, she texted me before we taped the first one and said, "Is it okay if I swear?" And I said, "Yeah, it's totally okay if you swear. I swear on my page, and I swear on this as well." So, yeah. So the first episode dropped yesterday, so you can see it. It was yesterday, and then also, but will be now instead of twice a week from Mondays and Thursdays was before. It's only on Mondays, so you can tune in on Mondays and watch the podcast. And I'm trying to remember the next one. We've already taped the first 4. And the first one, of course, was announcement of the new podcast. But let me check into. See, I have this screen right now. Everything's in my way, so I can't see it. Okay, the first one was about the new change, but the second one is about setting realistic goals as survivors. How do we set realistic goals for ourselves moving into 2023? Episode 3 is going to be why call narcissistic abuse? Why aren't we just referring to it as emotional abuse? And then number 4 is, what do you do if your narcissistic ex comes back and says, "I've changed"? How should you believe it? When do you know that that's real? So those are the first 4 episodes. So the next one will be on Monday. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah, so Campbell on YouTube says she remembers her good memories and sad memories. And then somebody else said she's just thankful for this group. I'm thankful for this group too. Honestly, you guys, I'm getting to know so many of you. You feel like family to me. I feel like there was another creator who puts out this video about found family. That's how I feel about this community, about all of you. I feel like you guys are my found family. So I'm super, super pleased. Yeah, I'm reading this. I'm reading the various comments that are coming in. One of them says that they need this change too. Yeah, I do need this change. I agree. So what would you guys like to talk about? So for those of you who are on Instagram, I'm sorry, I keep saying that. Those of you who are on TikTok, put a thumbs up ahead of your comments so I know you're talking to me. But I'm also watching the comments over here with Campbell and Jem and Chantel. What would you guys like to talk about today? What kind of topics are in your mind? Are you happy it's 2023? Do you have a good feeling about this year? What are some of the things you would like to have happen in this year? And while I wait for you guys to answer that question, are you joining me on Thursday? Unfortunately, it's not going to be live on YouTube. It will be live on TikTok and probably Instagram as well. That I'm doing a guided mind-body reconnection experience. It's going to be an experience, not going to be educating. We're going to be doing this together. So I hope you guys will join me over on TikTok Thursday at 1 o'clock Central this time. And come right in at 1. Come in at 1, and here's some directions on that. Come in at 1 and be sitting somewhere comfortable, like someplace that you can, don't be here at the desk like I am. I won't be here either. I'm going to be in a sofa with a nice screen. I'm going to have music playing, royalty-free music, so I have permission to play it. And I'm going to be leading you through. The first one is a relaxation experience where You are going to just be in touch with your body and start to sense different parts of it. And I'm going to ask you some instructions to what to do, like how to tense and relax that body. So the first one is just a guided relaxation. But I have 9 weeks of material, and we're going to be doing something a little different each time. So a week from Thursday will be a different exercise, and the exercises will build on themselves. So it's intentional. So I'm really hoping you come and keep coming so that you can increase your awareness of yourself in space, awareness of your sensations in your body safely, awareness of your feelings, and learn to self-soothe. All those are my goals for this experience. And it starts on Thursday at 1 o'clock Central. So please tune in to TikTok. If you don't have TikTok, that's a reason to be on. It's just because of nothing else for this live experience. I'm going to have 4 guests. So if you'd like to be one of the guests featured, please check out the link in my bio. I can put the link here on YouTube for those who are here because it's not on, you don't see the link in my bio. So, Brittany, do you have access to my YouTube? I'm sorry, do you have access to my link tree? Could you throw that into the chat here on YouTube? Brittany, by the way, for those of you who are on YouTube, is my moderator, and I have at least one moderator. She's also moderating TikTok at the same time. So she's got her hands full. Yeah, so there's my, finally, it took me forever, but so the chat's super slow on YouTube, guys. I'm realizing I'm seeing it way, way late. But yeah, so I hope to see you this Thursday. I hope to see you this Thursday for the first of the series of the guided mind-body reconnection experience. Hey, Bree. And it's going to be the relaxation one is the first one. And if you'd like to be a guest, please sign up. You need to sign up ahead. You can't just come and say, hey, I want to be a guest, because I need you to first agree to some things. I have some expectations, some ways to get ready, some things to think about. I also want to keep you safe. So there's some things that you need to read and agree to. So that's why it's so important that you sign up. Yeah. So most of you are healing after abuse. What would you say has been the hardest part of your healing experience? What's been the hardest part? Are you struggling to make new relationships? Are you really feeling alone a lot? Are you struggling with all the mental stuff that goes through your head with the flashbacks or the kind of perseverating information? So, by the way, the writing, I can see your comments over on TikTok, but your names are too small for me to read without my glasses, and I hate my glasses. So somebody just said, I struggle getting my confidence back. So, like, are you struggling to take chances? Is that what you're struggling to do? You're not taking chances? Somebody else said to feel compassion, being myself, feeling displaced. Realizing everybody was actually hurting me. Ooh, that's painful. I discovered that too. I discovered that that a lot of my relationships after that, actually a lot of my relationships my entire life have been abusive. That's what I discovered. I found out after the fact that I had been inviting a lot of toxicity into my life, and I wasn't aware of that. Is that what you've been discovering as well? Feeling guilty about the children not having their father or their, for some of us, their mother. Yeah, that's also a really, really hard one too. But remember, you didn't do this. You weren't the one that was abusive. You're just the one that is trying to create a healthier environment. So we just did a poll. What are you struggling with right now? The top 2, it was 50-50, building self-worth, and 50% of you said grieving, and you're in the angry stage. Yeah. It's very hard for me too. I wish that there was more justice. It's hard for me to see this person seemingly move on with their life. Now, do I believe this person has a better life after leaving me? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I know that he's still him. He's not changed. So he carries himself in every other relationship, so he's not doing any better with anyone else that he meets than he ever had with me. So that part I don't, but what bothers me is that he does move on, that there is this continuation and seemingly easy. That part really feels grossly unfair. You'd like to think that they suffer the way we suffer. Wouldn't that be, that to me feels like, kismic or justice. Feels like that would be justice. I think I think narcissistic people who are predatory in relationships, and that's just not narcissists, it's a whole group of people, but I think anybody predatory in relationships suffer. They suffer from living with themselves and all the toxicity that they do, but I don't think that they don't suffer necessarily from the pain of that last relationship. They don't suffer from what happened with us. I don't believe that. I think that to them, I think they believe that what happened was, then the reason they needed to move on is it was just over and it was done, and they moved, and then they just moved on. And they, in fact, to us fretting about it, they were like, why are you not, remember, they compartmentalize. I was talking about defense mechanisms earlier about our repression of memories. Well, one of the big defense mechanisms of toxic people is compartmentalization. So I believe they compartmentalized our relationship. They ended the relationship. They put it in a box and they put it in the back corner. And periodically they may think about it. They may wonder how we're doing. And the reason they're wondering is not so much because they miss us, but more out of jealousy and envy. They want to make sure we're not doing better than them. They want to make sure they're doing better than us. So they may periodically check out what we're doing and what we're up to, or they may be missing supply and there's not like a lot going on in their life, and so they may swing back just to see whether or not we're available and to check out whether or not they can kind of get something from us briefly. But no, I don't think that they look at that whole relationship. If anything, they look back at it and think that you deserve what you got. That's what I'm afraid is really actually what happens, is that in their minds, they've justified their bad behavior by saying that you deserved it. They've somehow warped it in some weird way and made us deserving of their abuse. Isn't that bizarre? I just find that such a painful realization, is that's probably what they've done. So yeah. So niece says, yeah, my husband said I deserved it. Yeah, I in fact, mine wrote me about a year after. I'm now no contact with him, but before I was at no contact, when I was kind of working something through with him legally, he said, only you and I know what really happened in this relationship. And what I knew he meant was only, what he's really was saying to me, only I have the correct interpretation of what went on. And I know he had completely twisted it into some unrecognizable story. I mean, I know that he would say, love you more is a gross exaggeration and that this is not what happened in the marriage. I know that. I know he would say that I made that up, even though I have lots of evidence of whatever I said, people, witnesses and images and all sorts of stuff. I know for him, he would say, oh, that's a fabrication. She's just, in the same way that they twist the arguments on us and said, make it into something that it's not, they're twisting this on us as well. Absolutely. And so that's how that's called. So part of it's called reaction formation, but part of it is also compartmentalization as well. So there's Brittany, my comments from, well, maybe there's a way for me to, oh, there we go. I had the settings wrong. So let me see if I can find the one on, they're super slow. My comments are super slow, so I'm not seeing them as they're happening in real live time. Sorry, guys, on YouTube. You're coming in like minutes later, so I'm way off. I don't know why that's happening. I may have to use another streaming format for this. Right now, the last comment I see on YouTube is Lori saying, yes, I did as well, and Will said it's isolating, 12 years, no dates. I'd be curious to know, Will, what about 12 years, no dates? That's like this, you may have said this a long time ago, and I'm just now seeing it, so sorry about that. Yeah, so Sarah has been talking about her experience of being locked out of a country, her own country that she would love to go home to, and it's been really painful for her. to be living in a country that's not. And it is hard. And, and there's where I get, here you'll see me on a soapbox. I usually don't react to trolls, but I want to. When they come in and say, well, who hurt you? Or, any of that kind of rejecting information, I just find it super, super painful, because we're reacting to something that we didn't do to ourselves. We're reacting to something that happened. We got pulled into a relationship we didn't know was toxic. We thought we met this fabulous person because that's how they presented. In fact, have you seen my discussion of narcissistic abuse versus abuse? And I know that's an upcoming podcast topic, but I also did a video on it. And the difference is that narcissistic abuse is a subtype of abuse, in that narcissistic abuse includes a deception, a creation of a false persona. Abuse in itself does not. In fact, people said, well, what would be an example of a non-false persona being abusive? Well, it's simple. Think of every time one of your parents who had a bad temper came home from work. They didn't mislead you that they had a bad day, and they didn't mislead you around the fact that they're their mother and had a relationship with you, or a father and had a relationship with you. They didn't even mislead you the fact that they were ouchy. You knew that from the moment that person stepped in the door, that this may be a day you're going to need to stay out of their way, and you're waiting for it, hoping nothing bad happened until someone spills the milk at the table, or turns over their drink, or complains about how cold or hot or that the food doesn't taste good, and bam! There it goes. The explosion happens, and then that person just loses it on everybody, or at least on you. And then after the whole explosion's over, then everybody goes deathly quiet. Nobody says anything. And then you wait for this person to repair, and then they come back. And then they oh, I'm so sorry, and you know how I am after work, and can I get you a bowl of ice cream, and can I read you a book, or how about we watch that favorite show together? And then they're trying to make up for it, and that's the cycle to abuse. See, there's no deception there. There's no deception. Everybody knows this person's a hothead. Everybody knows things goes wrong. You just tiptoe around the person. You just tiptoe around them. Now, narcissistic abuse is completely different. Completely different. You met somebody that actually never existed. You met them because they knew they were creating a persona that's based on you. They are mimicking, mirroring, and parroting you. And they did it because they wanted to get something out of the relationship with you, that they knew that if you just said to them, they said to you, hey, I don't have a place to live and I'd like to have sex with you. Can I move in with you? You'd say, hell no, there's the door. So they fake you out. They create a false persona, set you into this relationship, and then, because it was never really who they were, and it's hard to sustain this falsehood, then it starts to slip, and you start to see who they really are. And that whole thing, that deception, while they're living their real life, they hope that you don't stumble on, while they see who they want to see, and work or don't work, or use your money without your permission, or whatever they're doing, while they hope you don't catch on for as long as possible. And when those two worlds collide, then you realize that you have been horribly, horribly betrayed, and you start to wonder, who are you in a relationship with? And that's the first stage of cognitive dissonance. First stage. Yes, somebody said, why do they sound all alike? It's because the setup's the same. So when you think about it for a second, back to source, when you think about it, the setup is to create this false persona in order to lure you into the relationship. And there's only so many ways to do it, right? I mean, you think about that. If you were to fake somebody out, even if a girlfriend, let's just, it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. Say even at work, somebody comes in at work and maybe they say they know the job and they don't really know the job. There's a way in which you sort of present yourself deceptively in order to exploit the situation. That's why these feel so scripted. It's because there's not that many variations. You think about, just take for example, because I'm a writer and I always think about plots. Let's think about the hero story. Do you realize the hero story is the same? Down on the world, awful worldview. He has a secret, or she has a secret skill or talent, feels like nobody sees. Then suddenly something happens in the ordinary world that breaks it, and they have a big crisis, and things are never the same, and they begin to go on this journey of self-discovery and coming into themselves, and while they try to save the world. It's the same, there's a plot. The same for narcissistic abuse. It's like a plot. There's these points that happen, and the points are the same. It's just the variation. Your story is a little different from my story, is a little different from someone else's stories. But the plot in itself, and the way in which the plot unfolds, the way the manipulations and deceptions are, they're the same, and that's why it looks the same from person to person to person. That's why we can do these skits and like, I swear, where were you in the living room when that happened? Because you just quoted me verbatim on what happened in my life. Yeah, exactly. Oh, thank you guys so much for the subscriptions, both on YouTube and TikTok. And when you subscribe, here's what you get. And thank you so much, Louise. I have a private community called Toxic Free Relationship Club. You're immediately invited to join that. It's on Facebook, but also hosted on Discord. So you have ability to have like group voice chats on Discord, talk to me, talk to each other. And then once a month, we have video chats where we come and hang out together. And the next one's going to be January 19th. It's a Thursday evening at 6 o'clock. And we just come on a video, like a Zoom call, and we come and just kind of bring ourselves and talk. It's not really, there's no big kind of education point. It's just us being real, developing relationships, having a safe place to talk about what's going on in your life, to know that you're not alone, to know that other people are with you. And then if you want to ask questions or hear about me, I'm a little more vulnerable there. And I'm also happy to educate as well, to kind of bring up information and stuff. But the other really big benefit of subscribing is for $5 a month, which is what it is, you get 25% off all of my resources. That means the upcoming webinar with Lindy Bancroft, you get 25% off. You get 25% off my course. That's a huge savings. It's a huge savings. So you get that code, and it works with everything in my products. So, yeah, thank you so much, Louise, for that. I appreciate that. Sarah said the most traumatic part was being a genuine person and ended up living a lie without any consent given. I agree, Sarah. Well put. I think you nailed it. You nailed it. That was. I think for me, the other piece of all of this was so painful was that not only was I a genuine person, but I was vulnerably showing up. I mean, it was like I was risking my heart, my money, my life, exposure to my family. I mean, I was authentically bringing myself to this relationship, and then to discover this person brought nothing except the intent to exploit. Wow. I had a dream right after I found out he had been cheating, which I found out the most brutal way. I mean, it was really, really horrible. Oh, thank you guys. You guys are subscribing on. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, Bella and Chance. I can't watch for a message from me, guys who just subscribed. Watch for a message from me, because I will send you the invites to the Facebook group and to the Discord. But here's the dream that I had right after I found out he'd been cheating. And by the way, I found out he met my family, just to give you the horrificness of it, this is the cheapness of it. He met my family, set up a special weekend for us to be at a hotel, and he did it so that he could go out and see somebody. He did it so he could cheat. So he met my family that night, walked me to the car, and then sent me home alone the day before our wedding, let me show up at the wedding to the venue alone, with all the stuff, let me show up alone because he spent the night with somebody else. And I found out that 2 months later, on the last night of my honeymoon, that he'd spent the night with somebody else. I didn't know that. So I have a dream. Right after I find all this out, I have a dream. And the dream was, I dreamed that he was at a party, hanging out with everybody, and that my wedding gown was on the floor. And in this party, they were laughing and kicking and walking over my wedding gown. And it was getting torn up and dirtied and sullied and being tossed into the corner. And when I woke up, I realized that's what it felt like, that wedding gown was a symbol of my trust, my innocence, and my vulnerability, and that he had walked on it with other people and stepped on it and tossed and torn it up and threw it into a corner, that it was no more meaningful to him than something to be trounced on at a party. Yeah, I actually do interpret dreams. My own dreams are the hardest to interpret. So whenever anybody sends me a dream or tells me a dream, I have kind of a skill at that. But when it comes to my own, you'd think that I I feel like I have a hard time. So it took me that one for me was an easy one because, a wedding dress and it being on the floor and dirty, that was really simple. But it's hard to hear your own unconscious. Isn't that bizarre? It's very hard. But yes, if you guys are ever interested, I'd be happy to interpret dreams. But my problem is this. Most people want to send me really lengthy communications and I don't have the time for it. So I need it really like short and to the point. So if you want, maybe that's something I should do for a fee. I may be opening a big can of worms that I'm not really ready to handle. But anyway, so especially if you guys are a subscriber, we should open a chat thread in the Discord. I'll do that. We'll open a chat thread in Discord. You guys can throw a summary. I need the highlights, not everything in it. A highlight of your under 200 words of your dream, and I'd be happy to throw up my interpretation of it. So Kim, you had a bad one last night, huh? I'm sorry, YouTube, that the chat's so slow. I don't know what you guys are saying right now. Yeah. I promise between now and the next time I go live on YouTube, I'll figure out how to get this better for you guys, because I know I'm way down, or way out of sync with you guys. Way out of sync with you. And I don't know what to do about it. Hey, Jason. When did Jason say that? I don't know. I'm going to add timestamps. Oh, okay. So Jason said this at 1:49. So I am 8 minutes out of sync with my chat on YouTube. 8 minutes. So just so you guys know. That's bad. So people over on TikTok are saying they've had a lot of reoccurring dreams. I had a reoccurring dream you know why they reoccur, right? Do you guys know why dreams reoccur? They're reoccurring because there's nothing in your life that's causing that anxiety that's changed. So if you changed whatever it is in your life that's causing the anxiety, then that dream will go away. Okay, let me give you an example. I have a reoccurring dream. One of them is that I'm at the top of a skyscraper, like super tall, like 100, like impulsively tall, so tall. And I know this is true about skyscrapers, that they actually swing in the wind. They move. Now, how much? Probably not a lot. But in my dream, it's swinging this skyscraper, and I'm up at the very top floor. It's swinging so much so that I'm lying on the floor, trying not to get knocked over. And I have this fear. I have this fear of that I'm going to somehow fall off or fall out or something like that. That's that dream. Now, okay, think back to my life. I was widowed, and then I started dating this abusive person, and then I'm in this marriage with this abusive person who I know is cheating on me, and I can't figure out if I should leave, what's the right thing to do. Doesn't that make sense? I'm on the top of a skyscraper and it's swinging. In other words, so the interpretation of it is this, that in my life, I was lacking a firm foundation, and because of all the unpredictability was making me feel insecure and out of control. So there it is. So lately, I have not had that dream. In fact, I think it's been more than a year or more since I've had that dream. And think about my life now. I'm not in an abusive relationship. It's been very, very quiet in my life. And so as a result, I don't feel on shaky ground. So the dream went away. Can I explain DARVO? Yeah, absolutely. So DARVO stands for deny or deflect. I like the deflect too, because they don't just deny, they also deflect. You attack. So here's what happens. You make an innocent statement. Could be about anything. Maybe even is it conflictual, but it doesn't have to be conflictual. But you make a statement, and the person who hears it doesn't respond to the conflictual statement. In fact, they deny it. They'll deny it, and then they'll say you're attacking them for bringing that issue up, even though it was just an innocent statement. Let me give you, for instance, let's say I asked my son, what are we having for dinner? For him to do a DARVO, he would say, why do you always bring that up? See, right there, he denied and attacked me at the same time. Why do you always bring that up? He's deflecting. He's not talking about the subject, and he's going after me. And then the next thing they would do is they reverse the role. Instead of them being the offender, which they're being offensive, they say you're the offender for bringing the issue up. So they reverse the role of victim and offender. That's what the RVO stands for, reverse victor and offender. So he would say, let's use that same example. Why are you bringing that up? I hate how you put that on me, and it's such a heavy burden. It's just, I resent that. See, so now he's the one who's like being hurt because I asked just what we're going to do for dinner. That's Darvo. Now, what do you do when you hit a Darvo situation? And that's a pretty innocent one because they can get really, really nasty. I mean, they can get like just crazy. The best way to do it is just to stay on task, which is to come back. So if in that scenario, it would be to say, I just would like to know what you'd like to do for dinner. And then if they continue to persist on, yes, and you always put me in these binds and I hate it and I resent this, you're just famous for this, you can just keep saying, yeah, but I'd like to know what you do for dinner. Or you can just shut down, shut down, turn around and walk away. There's another possible way to handle this is just to cease to engage. But because most of them won't stop the attack. So you're not going to have that happen, but it doesn't mean you need to let it be effective. That's the part where we get into trouble. We get into trouble when we try to make them see reason. They're not going to see reason. And we also get in trouble when we take what they're saying personally and get defensive about it. So have you heard of JADE? Jade. JADE stands for don't justify, don't accuse, don't defend, and don't explain. Which is really hard because in those moments we feel so unappreciated and misunderstood, and it's out of alignment with our intent. We feel so horrified by what's happening that we want to do that. We want to justify, we want to accuse or defend or explain. So don't justify, accuse, defend, or explain. That's Jade. And yes, Blessed Pisces, this is a platform where we talk about all sorts of abuse and narcissistic abuse. Yeah, by the way, we are talking about nightmares. There was a fascinating study done several years ago about vets. They were looking at vets recovering from PTSD, and they had two groups. They had a group that had a lot of nightmares, and they had a group that wasn't having not a lot of nightmares. And they compared and contrasted the two groups, and what was fascinating was the group who had the nightmares tended to be healing faster than the group that didn't. So here's a way to understand your nightmares. Your nightmares is an effort for you to process in your unconsciousness all the trauma and pain that you have. And somebody else said this, and I didn't comment on it, but I caught it, guys. I did see it come through when you guys talked about this, and that was somebody said some of your repression comes back in the form of dreams. Absolutely, that does happen. I've seen it myself where I'll have a dream and I'll realize that the dream really wasn't very dreamlike. Something about it was more memory-like. And I've had a client, at least one client, come in and tell me a dream, and I knew I was hearing a memory. And sure enough, we uncovered that it was a repressed memory that was being revealed through her dreams. So that can happen too. So it is fascinating because dreams is the unconscious mind's effort to communicate with your conscious mind. But see, the problem with the unconscious mind is that it's not verbal. It doesn't have words, and it uses symbols and pictures. So that's why it's sending you dreams, is because these are symbolic of things. It also, the other way to kind of get in touch with your unconscious mind is through the slips of the tongue. You know how when you'll say something like, you'll feel embarrassed because it's actually a revelation. You're like, oh, I didn't really mean that, but chances are, if you were really super honest, you probably have at times thought that. You just don't want to say it because it's hurtful. So, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of modding going on there. Apparently, it's a good thing I'm not reading every comment. My comments, like I said, it's kind of hard to be hurtful to me on YouTube when I'm 6 minutes behind, but yeah. What happened, Blessed Pisces, is that you muted you for a second. And apparently you're not muted now, but you were muted for a second. So, hey Doggy says, my boyfriend wants me to validate my reaction to being hurtful to him. Yeah, and then you said that feels bad. Why? Why does it feel bad? it feels bad because he's asking you to accept a false reality. You aren't trying to be hurtful, right? You're just bringing an issue up. He's asking you to be emotionally responsible for his feelings. That's why you're feeling so, but it feels so odd, is because it's to attribute motives to you that actually aren't real. Yeah. In order for this person to deal with their feelings. So here's what I know you didn't ask me, what do you do about it? But what I would do in that situation is I would say to I would say to him or her, I'm not trying to hurt you. I feel bad that it hurt you, but you have all the power that you in the world to take whatever comment I made in any possible direction. You can find it funny, you can find it serious, you can see it mean, you can react sadly to it, but I wasn't calling you a name, I wasn't accusing you of something, I was simply expressing my feelings. The problem is with some people is that they see feelings as attack, unfortunately. Yeah, and that's really a rough one to get around. But here's the thing, I would never get into a position of being responsible for someone taking my feelings in the wrong way. Because think this through for a second. If say that you said, hey, you being late made me feel really lonely and I missed you, and then they said, that hurt my feelings, don't say that to me. So you're not to miss them and feel lonely? You're being told that you're never to bring that up again? Well, how do you have a relationship if you're closing down all these aspects of yourself? Then that's not really a safe. For one, that's not safe. This person's claiming you're not safe for having feelings, and you're not safe to be human and to express yourself. So I would say that's not a relationship on very good footing at all. So how do you leave somebody when you have a puppy and you know that leaving them means you have to leave the puppy as well? I'm assuming there's no other choice but that this person's insisting the dog stays with them. So that brings me to the question of which is more important, to stay into an abusive relationship because of access to an animal, which I get. I had a dog for 8 years. I loved her dearly. Loved her. But I would see my self-worth and me more important. And I know that he doesn't want them. They're doing it to hurt you. I know that. It's just a tool. The animal's a tool. You know what? Another friend of mine, and yeah, I'm sure he's abusive to the dogs. I'm sure he is. I have no doubt. I have a friend of mine you're reminding me of who had 2 dogs that she dearly loved, and her ex kept them. You know what? They're now 3 years out, and he still goes back and uses those dogs, sends pictures, talks about how much better they would be with her versus him. Do you think he'd ever let her have those animals? Absolutely not. It's a way to hurt her forever. So, okay, I'm going to be guys who listen to me, I'm super blunt. Because I find that just saying it as it is the best way. So I'm going to tell you the way that it is, Panda. The way that it is I would move on and I would divorce myself not only from that person, but also from my animals. And I would see that I'd have to start over. Now, I know when we're talking about children, it's a completely different situation, but otherwise you're just opened. You're always going to be opened for pain in this relationship. You'll always be open for it. Yeah, are you guys coming to the upcoming webinar on how could he do that? This is a Panda. This would be a perfect. I would urge you really, really to come to this. Lundy Bancroft, I just put a video up yesterday of him speaking in an interview on a podcast. I got 26 seconds of him. It was fascinating interview. That clip. He even talks about how do you know if someone's going to change. That's the clip I pulled out for the YouTube. I'm sorry, pulled out of the YouTube interview for this TikTok video. It's amazing. He's going to be an amazing speaker. I can't wait. And the last 30 minutes, you guys get to ask your questions of him. It's a live webinar. You come and you listen to me and a few other people interview him. And then the last 30 minutes, you guys get to ask him your questions. There'll be a moderator taking questions. And then we will ask, you will write it to the moderator. The moderator then pull the questions out and then ask them on your behalf so that you have complete anonymity. So you don't need to be ever shown. Your faces will not be there, but you can talk to each other and have all this type of back and forth while it's going on. And I highly recommend that you guys come. I think it's going to be amazing. That book, his book, Lundy Bancroft's book, Why Does He Do That, gave me so much closure. If you guys are struggling with trying to make sense of what happened and why it happened, and if there's something you could have done differently, or even understanding who you're in a relationship with and why they did what they did, this book gave me those answers. And I think this webinar, this interview with Lundy Bancroft, will give you those answers. I really, really believe that. That's why I reached out to him. And I don't know if you guys know how hard he is to get as a speaker. He doesn't take many. He's retired these days, so he doesn't take many requests. So I feel so blessed. I feel like this audience is so blessed that we get to hear from him personally. He just doesn't accept that much speaking engagements these days. So, and he's not. And you can't contact him directly these days very easily. He's retired for the most part. So I really, really hope that you come. It's going to be an amazing, amazing webinar. Yeah, Kelly, so you're reading the book right now. Yeah, please, that would be, so if you have questions about the book, why don't you bring him to the webinar and ask him in person, like I said, through the moderator, your questions. That would be perfect. So, yeah, I'm sorry for all the trouble on YouTube, guys. This was my first YouTube live ever, so at least it's going to be in the bank as being done, but the chat is terribly delayed. We're like 6 minutes behind. So how do you sign up for the webinar, Bell and Champs? Or is that the question? How do you sign up for the webinar? The webinar, again, is through the link in the bio, or if you go to resource.kerrymcavoyphd, that's a way. And yeah, that's how you get to it. And thank you so much for you guys for your gifts today. I'm really, really touched. Yeah, that's what you're interested in. Yeah, it's a link in the bio. It's called How Could He Do That? How could he do that? Any last questions for me before I wrap up today? And thank you so much for this. I appreciate it. And again, I apologize over now 2:01. So the minutes now, or the chats are 4 minutes behind on YouTube. Sorry about that, but we'll figure this out. I may have to use another streaming source to get this fixed, but I did it. We got one done, so that's good. Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love this blonde wig. This is really a pretty wig, isn't it? I like it better without the glasses. I think the glasses like, oh, but anyway, it works, That I can at least then see your names. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with all the glitches we had today. Thank you for those of you who subscribed today. I don't know if I got any subscriber on YouTube, but I got several subscribers here on TikTok, so I super appreciate that. And yeah, in fact, yeah, I think I've got like 3 or 4 subscribers. Those of you who just subscribed, watch for me to send you an email on how to join join Toxic Free Relationship Club on both Discord and on Facebook. And the last thing I want to have you guys, and same for YouTube guys, if you subscribe on YouTube, watch for those invites. In fact, it should automatically send them to you. And please join me on Thursday at 1 o'clock sharp. 1 o'clock sharp for the live mind-body reconnection experience. I'm going to guide you through it. It's going to be an experience. It's not going to be a chat. We'll talk about it at the end, and I will start with some directions. But come relaxed. Come in a comfy chair with a dim lights, and come prepared to do a relaxation technique with me. So I'm super excited about that. This is going to be amazing, and it's going to be every Thursday at 1 o'clock. If you want to see the schedule, I'm trying to post a schedule every place so you can find it so you know where it's going to be. But Thursday is the first one. So I'm super, super excited. Oh, Panda, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that. So we will see you on Thursday. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. You guys mean the world to me. Like I said, to quote Louise, you guys are my found family. I really, really appreciate you so much. 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern. Heather, it's 2 o'clock Eastern. That's Central Time. Yeah. And if you guys want to be a guest, click the link in my bio and sign up there to be a guest. All right, you guys, y'all are amazing. Thank you to my mods. I appreciate it. Thank you to you for subscribing. I appreciate that. And I will see you back here, YouTube, on Tuesday. And I'll see you all on Thursday for the guided experience. Bye-bye.